CAC website.
This is probably out of order, but I got the feeling last time that maybe this time we could actually put those little committees, like Mimi was saying, the important things like the gas station, whatever. And I think we've got movers and shakers of town right here. It's like, don't let these people be bored and go because they don't want to be on that CAC maybe, or at least that's way down the road. But it's like, let's get some people committed to those little mini committees with one. Did you say last time one board member and maybe two other interested citizens that are going to help look into it? Because some of the things were already looked into at a certain amount. So whoever did that should be there. And then maybe somebody that has some interest in that area, like the gas station or the, you know, housing or whatever. Do you think that we're going to get there tonight? I promised myself I was never going to another meeting after I retired from school, and this is starting to feel like a meeting.
Yeah, well, it's going to be meetings. That's what it is.
But I'm not going to be here for the rest of it. I'm just here if there's really action going to happen.
What I've seen happening, whether intended or not, is Darren set up a Monday meeting for every Monday in April. And seems like, well, tonight most everybody's here, but there's been a different crowd of each one. Different things have been said, and I think just the gleaning of what people are interested in is kind of that's what it felt like to me. I don't know if that was his intention, but it wasn't really zeroed in on a point, you know, bullet points. It was more of a discussion.
Yeah.
And so this tonight is a little different because we kind of want to move forward.
Yeah. I would do work too. I appreciate wanting an outline that has like dates and what you want to accomplish next. And I feel like we had a little get together after last week's meeting. We said, I think we can accelerate this a little bit. I don't think we need to process the project names and how we're going to communicate with one another. I think you guys all have that down as a community pretty well. So the next step then is to acknowledge and start working on your priorities and call me and ask me how I think that the county can help you. That's how I kind of envision the rest of this year going.
Wonderful.
Didn't I hear somewhere you guys mentioned that you were going to do a survey to kind of reach out to?
We thought we talked about that tonight. Like,
okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, no, don't be sorry. No,
I was just thinking of Kathy's concern that that way we address the community, not just districts.
Because we need to think about accessing all the people who are part of our community. Yeah. And there's so many things to think about. Mimi keeps mentioning, well, we've got landowners who don't live here. We've got to get in touch with them. You know, and there's just all these pieces to it.
And yeah, it's kind of, there's been so many things brought up that we kind of have a lot of stew out in front of us, so we have to figure out what to do. Because they're talking about the comprehensive plan too, and that's more of a long range thing. Then I get the thing in the water bill about what they're going to do with the sewer. Well, that's getting far ahead of. They're not building a sewer that's going to accommodate a larger town. If we're thinking about a larger town, there needs to be a lot of thought put into the public works, but yet they're going to start spending money on it. Not well, it probably needs some money. I live next time. I can tell you.
Do you mind telling me who your contact is at Public Works? Do you remember?
Gary.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Sure.
Naomi, should I bring up the Rick thing since we're at that particular moment? Shall I bring up the Rick Prager thing? I wasn't going to talk about that tonight, but
I do.
Okay. Should I bring up the Rick Prager thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't going to talk about this, not because it's a big secret. I just wasn't going to take up the time of this meeting. But Rick Prager has moved from being the CFO of Benton County to being the assistant county administrator under the new administrator, Rachel McEnany. Rachel came out and took an auto tour, and we had a great experience with her. She really got you guys, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't one of those conversations where we were talking at cross purposes. She seemed to really understand about isolated rural communities and the issues that they might experience. And so Rick has now been moved to be her assistant, and he reached out to various touch points in the community to try to set up communication through him regarding issues at the county, so that the county administrator is aware of what's going on. So I have, he and I are emailing right now, and we had Joni had the idea of maybe more people from the community sitting down with Rick and talking about what we need. So that's just a thing that I'm tossing out. It's not something I've thought through. It's not something that I've asked Rick if he would do, okay? I was gonna wait till I had some actual news, but since what's coming up, who do we talk to about what? It's starting to sound like that we can talk to Rick.
This is the last name.
Krager, Krager. And he was at the clinic meetings and presented about the building and the budget, if you remember that. He's a very capable person who's also a rural person.
Yes.
So anybody, if you're interested in working with me on any of the stuff that I toss out, just let me know, okay? And I'll let folks know if something happens with the Rick conversation. If something comes of that, a meeting or something like that goes out of that. Would people like to participate in that? You know, from different parts of the community, maybe? Okay.
So let me explain, I probably don't need to, but there's more people here, about Sarah. Sarah is not on CAC. Maybe she will leave, you don't know, we've been having her elections yet. But she is the head of CAC, which is really gotten the feeling of the community about the projects that they need, what needs to be done to pull ourselves up our bootstraps, you might say. And so that's why she's working on these things, but we're coordinating, she's coordinating with the CAC. So that's why.
And I'm on the Benton County Planning Commission.
Yeah.
So really, I probably will be on the CAC. I'll probably be able to use that. I would think.
So we're and I was to address your concerns, Abby. I was just thinking today, the people in the community are they're going to be anxious because these things need to be done. And it says if you're sick and the clinic's not there, it's not there. And or if your child is sick, or if you're having problems with the water, they're there. It's the big projects, yeah, that's a problem. And so there's just so many things that need to be done that well, I'm afraid it's going to make our heads whirl. And we're just trying to get our feet on the ground to get going. So I know. Anyway, but we need to take some action and things done. So would there like to be any more discussion from our audience here?
Your county-wide comprehensive plan update, is there an update?
That's gonna take, speaking out of turn, that's gonna take months.
Years, right?
Years, maybe.
Oh, yeah, but we've already talked about it. Is there something new today?
No, I might be on there just as a standing partnership work. We have contracted with both the development code auditor that's gonna be working with us and the person who's going to help us put together the comprehensive community outreach. So those have both been contracted this week. So that's a little for our movement.
So which other agencies do you deal with? Like ODOT and
You mean as a
Army Corps of
liaison or?
Engineers, county?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Those are partners on different projects. It kind of depends on what, if it's a water issue, a transportation issue.
Well, what I'm talking about is a floodplain out there, out south.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's two choices. They can go put the dike in for the rest of the way up to the crap road. Or they can put a walk through culvert there by the bridge. And it would eliminate every damn thing.
Do you have a contact person that you're working with?
No, my dad said it for years. My dad worked for Benton County.
Oh, yeah, so
So-
mine, actually.
You know, and I'm not afraid to say things. And you might not like what I say, because it might not come across very nice.
Well, and I don't
But,
think that's
you
how
know, I
it is.
lived here until I was 19 years old and spent 20 years in Portland. And I don't want to see what I saw up there here.
Yeah.
Not at all. That's why when they brought up streetlights, I told them, want to live in California? Go ahead. I like looking at my stars. But there are things here that for years, they've been talked about and they've just been ignored by the county.
There's no, that's true. I didn't hear about a culvert project on your guys' project list.
No one
I
ever
didn't
talked
either.
about
Well,
it.
so tell us, Les, tell me, what is it, the culvert where?
Just to the south of the bridge,
Okay,
that highway is nothing but a dam.
yeah,
And that water pours through up the top of Benton's field,
yeah,
comes down, hits that, there it starts. Goes clear out to the green.
and is it because the culverts are blocked, or is it?
No,
because
the problem is the Army Corps of Engineers
Okay.
didn't do their damn job when they were supposed to. They ended that dike right over at the end of Benton's property before it went on to Ernie Walter. If they'd have went around Ernie's pond with that dike and clear up to the Rycraft Road, that would have been never a problem.
Okay,
But it comes into slough, it fills that pond up, and then right down through Benton's field it comes, hits that highway, fills all that up with water.
I think the, Central Coast Watershed actually knows about that.
Yeah, well, they put another culvert out.
It was brought up
driveway.
Last week or the week before,
Yeah.
at that Central Coast Watershed.
does anybody want to give a little download of that meeting, for those who weren't able to make it to the watershed meeting? Is there anything we needed to know about?
It was just kind of informative, yeah, just, this is who we are, these are some of the things we do. Yeah. Nothing, no big projects to report.
Okay, gotcha.
Since I don't want kids to go through what I went through. At 6 years old or 8 years old, they got up and watched the damn ducks swim by. I told my sister, we're surrounded by water, you better call mom.
Right,
And
Right.
Tom Sadowski rode over and took us up to the highway.
thought you were dreaming, but you weren't dreaming.
Oh, no, I knew, I thought it was snow when I first those ducks flying by. So, yeah.
You guys have a very ambitious agenda this evening, so you might want to do a time check.
Well, we might move on here. So, I need some word from the CAC as to what they, if they want to, I guess, work on the activation of their first project.
Yeah. We just. I know we work on the CAC activation as our first project.
Did they just move it to activated?
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Gary, they want to work on getting the committee reactivated. It's a vote.
They were vote.
Yeah, they just voted.
Say aye.
Way to go.
Not voted anyway.
For us to work on the activation process so that we can go before the.
Right.
And get it done.
Did you just say that you are activating?
No, I mean,
Well, we wanna take some time and go.
we just had this discussion, Mike.
5 times now.
The county commission needs to activate us.
No,
What-
not activate.
Acknowledge, that's the word.
And the real question is, does the committee want to work on this enhanced relationship with the county? That's really the question. And, input from the community, we mean, when we worked on the agenda, I hoped for input from the community, you know, are people in favor of this happening? So this is a time that you can talk about how you feel about that. What you think, I guess would be better than how you feel, probably, right? You think that that's a good idea, something that you feel like the community would benefit our community. Does anybody have anything that they want to say? Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't think you really have anything to lose. Let them
Right.
come all in on your own.
Right?
It's
I wanted to get it.
not ideal, but based on the track record, but it seems like I know Darren. Got to know Darren a little bit, it seems like he's genuinely willing to help us, and I think it's not really we have a choice other than stay the status quo.
Right. Yeah, well, I don't want to just be running roughshod over the community, right? Just because I think something is a good idea doesn't mean that the community does. And Naomi.
Well, I just want to reiterate that for us being a done, there's some sort of legal entity that the Benton County recognizes. And in addition to that, that the state of Oregon recognizes. Because this is the comprehensive plan, basically Benton volunteered to do it, but it's mandatory from the Oregon state to do the comp plan. And they have also said in the requirements to Benton County that we will have community involvement. We will have active AACs and CACs. And what I gained from Darren is that ironically, but Alsea is right now the only active CAC. All the other surrounding rural areas, CACs are not active. So Benton County is looking to us to be the leader. Okay, and so that's a positive for us because it gives us opportunity. Here I am almost about me, but it gives us opportunities to get funding from sources because we are a pilot, not I think the reliable. But and it is because the state's mandating to Benton County. So Benton County is coming to us and asking us to do it. So there's a lot of benefit to do it. And plus the commissioners for the first time in a number of years are actually interested in seeing participation from the community.
I'd just like to say that I would see the CAC as our vehicle
Yes.
to communicate with the county. And if the county's willing and we have a functioning committee, we got elections coming up. A lot of you good minds need to be on this committee, but then we have a vehicle to do that communication because we have 50 projects that are priority for different pieces of us. And there has to be some kind of body to help us sort that out.
Yeah,
And
so you
that's
don't
us.
just make a phone call and get ignored, which
That's what we're really hoping to change with this. And if we build a strong committee, which is what we're trying to do at this moment, then we have a way to do the next part of it, which is to lay out what we want and communicate.
Again, that's well stated.
I was just wondering, like, ACE is still also an active board, right? I'm kind of confused why the CAC, and I don't want to make a long drawn out discussion, but I'm surprised that it is an ACE that would be more involved in the comprehensive.
We don't want to be. That's what I've heard. I haven't been told that. But that they felt that their calling was the library and artistic things and maybe that's wise because so just keeping this building going and the activities and stuff as a full-time thing. But the back in the 1970s, these CACs were sort of decreed by the Land Conservation and Development Commission, which is a statewide thing. And it came from the statewide zoning. And actually, what they're coming in here, and I don't really like, is they came in and they took control of what we did with our land. And so, so that was onerous enough, but they wanted to modify it a little bit and have these committees that would represent the people that actually owned the land and lived on it. So that's why originally the CAC came to be. And then, as Patsy has pointed out, people get tired of going to meetings all the time. So he kind of started languishing because, well, we could never do anything. It didn't make any difference what the CAC said. That we went to the development department and they were like a little toddler. The first words they learned was no, and they didn't ever learn the yes word. And so people got discouraged. And so we did this with having a meeting. There was no point. So now,
here.
now, our angel is right. And they actually, well, they're understanding that the first one didn't totally work because now there's all these homeless people and all kinds of problems. And so it's going to be up to us and our community to help them out and try to get them going in the right direction.
So I have some thoughts about the CAC. For one thing, I think it's essential that we take this opportunity to be involved in the comprehensive plan. I mean, the majority of people that I know have had issues with land use planning. And so this is our opportunity to really get, you know, all these people, all this information we have that makes sense. I mean, what there is now doesn't make sense, and lots of people in the county recognize that. And so if we don't take this opportunity, I mean, it's ridiculous. So I think that's the main goal.
When you say that, are you talking about the zoning that we have here?
Yeah, yeah, all kinds of. I mean, there's all kinds of things, and I'm not an expert in it at all. But I think there's a lot of things we need in Alsea, and I think those things need to be addressed and prioritized. But that we really need to think about making sure that we have the right people on the CAC. And you know, that has, I mean, in my opinion, that has to be a main goal. Because this is our chance to take that opportunity. And so I also think, I mean, I so appreciate you guys coming back to get this CAC going. And as we work through this next piece of your agenda, election nomination procedures, I really want to know, you know, are you guys interested in staying on it? I mean, I think we need some discussion about what we need on the CAC to make sure we get what we need and we have the right voices to communicate that with Benton County. And so I think that's what I want to work on is like, okay, and if we know of people in this community that should be on this committee, how do we make sure that they're on it? Another thing that I can't remember, I think it was Naomi or maybe somebody talking about committees. I think that's a really good idea. I mean, I think we want people to want to be on this committee and to want to actively participate. And in order to get people to commit to doing that, we as a community need to support them however we can. And so that means if I am really interested in an aspect that I join that committee, like, you know, if I'm really wanting to move the clinic along or whatever, then I can be a, you know, do some of the groundwork and then report to the committee or whatever that is. So if we're talking about the gas station or we're talking about the sewer, I think after the CAC prioritizes with input from the community, that we develop committees that can really help move those things along, so everything doesn't fall on the CAC. And so I am interested to know how we work towards finding out who wants to participate on the CAC and why, and what they can bring. Because this is our opportunity, we've got to take it. And so, anyway, that's my 2 cents.
And as I've said before, I am resigning. So whenever the elections happen, you will be taking my position. Somebody gets my position.
When are the elections happening?
Well,
That's the grand question.
that's what we've been working toward. We told we had to go through this process of getting, I don't know what we want to call it. Okay, reactivated, we were calling it, reprioritized, or whatever, but building our relationship with the county commission and getting more power. I don't know exactly what, at the beginning of it, they said, we want you to come back on to get this thing going. And so we've been trying to hold elections for.
What does Darren say? He put a date on it last time.
Did he, I don't remember him putting a date on it, but this is my suggestion. We find out when the Board of Commissioners can acknowledge this group. And that will kick off the election process with that publicity, right? We can pay for a bulk mailing of everyone inside the boundary, which is what, 700, 800 folks or so. You guys could give us feedback on other stakeholders that are not being represented in this group, because you want to have diverse opinions, right?
There are people in our Alsea who have a different zip code as well. So,
Yeah, we can
They have to be into.
But for that, it takes us 5 minutes to get into our map and our data and draw all those out. We can pay for bulk mailing, have our PIO, design a nice election form or application. And then, use the social media network that you all have here. Sarah's been kind of the liaison, on posting that stuff. So that's kind of the way I see it. It's not gonna be very time consuming, once you guys get before the commission, and you'll be off to the races.
Most of it is getting the notice out
Yeah.
and giving it a certain amount of time.
Sure, you probably wanna keep it out for a month.
Did I understand you to say that the next thing that must happen is that the CAC has to have a hearing before or has to meet with the Board of Commissioners in some formal setting? That needs to happen first?
That's what they requested.
Okay, and that would happen by the CAC taking a resolution that we wish to be activated or reactivating and being acknowledged by them, and they would write a letter to the chair of the commissioners to get on the agenda.
You could make a presentation. I handle it. It's like an online form. You put in the dates, the topics, and you fill out basically a survey to populate the information that they like to have. It's a very formal process.
I'm just talking about moving forward with elections. And then I was hearing you say that the committee needs.
We need to take a 1 page and put it before the commission to be re-acknowledged.
Re-acknowledged, well said.
That word,
Yeah.
re-acknowledged,
So
and then
something
that
you three guys
starts
would do?
that would start the election.
So you more would be doing that ASAP, I think.
Yeah, we would build that piece of paper with Petra's help.
Yeah.
Because you said you'd do a draft.
Yeah.
If you do a draft, then we should be able to finalize it.
So that could get on
And she's going to get us on the agenda as soon as possible.
What's the lead time to get on the commissioner's agenda?
It depends. I'm gonna be meeting with the assistant county administrator tomorrow to talk to him about what their availability is. They meet every week, but they also have so many other topics.
So this could happen like in the next 3 meetings.
I would hope so, absolutely.
Okay, so then as soon as you and her get together, then you can do it and then she can get it on the agenda and we can.
And then it gets presented, and then we're ready to go. Then we can start doing the election process, whatever we decide to do.
Good. I would move we adjourn and let you take care of that right.
Michael, I'd like to have, could we move outside? Are you clear now, Mike? Do you have any more questions?
Oh,
about
yes, I do.
acknowledgement?
So any other discussion? Well, I think we can, start talking about the election process.
I have a suggestion here, so maybe we ask the group whether they want to participate in the creation of that form, or if they would rather just kind of communicate.
Let me just do it. It's just a one page.
Yeah, I
Please
know.
acknowledge this.
No, not the acknowledgement, I'm talking about the election procedure, because there isn't currently one in place.
Yeah, that's what we were just about to talk about.
So we discuss, would this group like to participate in creating, you can say no. You can say, no, we want you to handle it, that's why I'm asking you. I'm sensing people are anxious to get onto something other than just minutia.
Whatever's quicker,
Yeah.
really. I mean, I think it'd be easier if you guys handle multiple.
And you
files.
can try to
do it
build this
fairly,
enough
you're gonna
trust.
do-
Well, I mean.
The majority of the 700 people in the.
Oh, right, oh, absolutely, yeah, in fact, I have, here, you can read.
I have one.
Okay, well, at the bottom.
I mean, so I want to participate or hear that discussion about how the elections are gonna work.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think, yeah, and I have a question here.
Yeah.
When it comes to it. So we can do, nominations, and, how we want to do those, we could have them actually, you could do them on paper and send them to the county. Or we could, do them at a meeting. There's several different ways that you could nominate people. And there's also several different ways you could hold the elections, not as. We hear about elections all the time on TV. I was thinking, we've got the box out here, we could, I don't know if you can use it officially or not. But then the box can be, people could put in more than one piece of paper. If we do it at a meeting, then people have to attend the meeting. I would just be open to suggestions as to how.
Thank you,
would
that's
like to
suggestion over
nominate.
there.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
This is the room full of people who's interested in this project and moving forward, and they're actively interested in moving this forward. Do we have to go through a county-wide election to build this committee? Or can we just say we nominate these people that want to work on these projects?
We elect the
Well, there are bylaws that we have to follow, and they do have details.
but the county is an electing committee. We elect the committee.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No, we've always done it before, just at a meeting, just like this one. And people got up and made their nomination and
then we voted.
then we voted, secret ballot. So you could vote against your friend if you wanted to. And you won't know that you voted against.
So who doesn't for that matter?
And
Emily, yeah, there's several hands.
Yeah, I'm just trying to clarify, my understanding from what Victor was saying is there has to be like an 800-person Alsea-wide vote, and who gets on the committee? Or-
No,
No.
that's notification. That many have to be notified that there's going to.
But I didn't know, so as far as nominations, then, okay, so. Okay, never mind, I kind of know what I'm saying.
So the
I
process-
pictured this like Alsea-wide, like mailing.
Well,
out
it
and-
could be that, that's what she's saying, like,
No.
in the past, it's been at a nomination, an election, at a public meeting of the CAC. So far, Darren has intractably resisted that being the model that we use.
It's not necessary, so like elections, like on an actual ballot and all those rules, you guys don't qualify for that process anyway, just because you're a committee that's appointed and you can appoint yourselves as opposed to going through an election process. So I would suggest that you keep it amongst yourselves and you have a nomination process And either the CAC makes the choices for their replacements, or you have some other opportunity where folks can weigh in.
So you're the good cop. Is what I'm hearing tonight. You're the one who says we can do it the way that we did it before. Yeah,
You
excellent, it's
can.
excellent
Can I
news.
speak for?
But, yeah, oh, please.
Darren's biggest goal was to make sure that the community knew about it.
Yeah,
it's the
It can be handled at
notification
this level,
process.
Yeah.
but the bulk mailer sent out that said, if you're not here tonight, you'll lose out.
Still get playing.
That's
Yeah.
Or, and
That's
then
exactly it.
one side of it might just be a quick application form, just to say, you know, these are my interests, and that way you can kind of say, hey, we've got 95% farmers, do you want a business person on here too? And so just kind of understanding what would be a good balance of different perspectives. So those are the kinds of things you want to ask somebody when they fill out their application.
I think his goal was to reach the whole community and not just to go away, whoever in the room raise their hand. They're.
But it's perfectly appropriate to say you come to the meeting if you are interested in being nominated or for election.
And I see the hands up there, I see you, but can I ask Petra real quickly, you said a form can be created, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I was thinking one page would be something nice, you know, professionally done, where we've reactivated the CAC, there's 3 vacancies, what have you, and then on the backside, if you're interested in nominating yourself or another, here's an application form, there's a due date, you pull them all together, maybe you have a subcommittee that takes a look at them, like a first flush, and we know we don't have to decide tonight because there's different options, but I recommend keeping it smaller. I mean, we want to make sure that the 700, 800 people are notified that there's this opportunity for them, but it's not going to be like an area-wide election process. You guys can appoint yourselves.
We're not a big enough community.
And to further explain, the members are appointed, in the end, they're appointed by the county commissioners. So we elect them and we say, okay, these are the people that the community has elected to put on this committee. But if then the county commissioners have the option to look and say, oh, they just put all the timber cutters on there. Nobody else got to be on that. Well, this doesn't look right to us. Something like that.
Can I read the bylaws, please? It's really short.
There were a couple of hands and I couldn't see whose hands were up. Were there more questions there? And I know Keita has a question.
Yeah, I didn't think it was an election at all, okay? Because it said the CAC is a volunteer appointed position. And so I just assumed that those people interested in applying, apply, and then the county itself picks out people.
We don't want the county to make that decision.
That's
We will
my
make that
interpretation.
That's not how it's been handled in the past.
Well,
It's been handled the way Mimi explained.
okay,
And,
I find it confusing. And why? Because-
Yeah.
Johnny Reed.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Anyway,
So
we're
this-
trying to find-
The part in Article 3 membership, Section 1, number and selection. Part of it says every effort shall be made to encourage balance on the CAC executive boards. Such factors as geographical distribution, occupation, size, and nature of holdings shall be considered. If a reasonable effort is not made to achieve a balance, the Board of Commissioners at the time of membership ratification shall require a new election. Elections for each CAC executive board shall be conducted at an advertised public meeting of the CAC to be held in the 90-day period preceding the beginning of the new term on January 1 of each year. And then it also talks about terms of office. And so don't you guys all have to decide what that is? Because your terms have all expired, right? So, I mean, it seems like you'd want to clarify what those terms are. Like, you know, so some of you would be, terms of each executive board member and alternate shall be for 3 years. No one shall serve on the executive board for more than 2 consecutive terms. Terms of office shall be staggered, so no more than 2 members will expire at the end of any single year.
So you will have to, for the first round, have to have a 1 year or 2 year.
2 or 3 times over.
So here's the deal. In the past, you showed up at the meeting, you're gonna end up on the CAC. Because, I mean, nobody came.
That's how I got to be on the CAC.
And, yeah, those that have been here way over those limits. Because there's nobody else wanting to do it.
When it comes right down to being on.
Diagram, so that some people
Yeah,
that know what
always
they're
been
doing
set up
are
that
still on it, that it's not just all
Reality.
these people figuring out what to do.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe 2 or 3 of you need to still have a 3-year term from now. And then, you know, other ones could have a 1-year term or something. It's like, you gotta stagger it so you have some knowledge of what you're doing on it.
Well, when, County first talked to us about it, I asked them, you want us to just resign? They said, no, because you want me there to educate the new
Yeah.
people coming on. So I don't think there's any really. I'm not gonna be around that long.
Well, you just might be.
You never know.
But, and maybe, but let's bring this up. So Article 6 here. The CAC and the subcommittees, which is Article 5, that Jody's talking about, and maybe he's talking about having these work groups that are subcommittees. The advisors, Article 6, the CAC and the subcommittees may call in lay citizens and professionals as advisors without voting rights to provide technical assistance, participate in deliberations, and attend meetings to the extent deemed appropriate by the chair. And I remember this is the boilerplate from the county. What I'm trying to say is everybody can come to the CAC committee meetings and participate in what is happening at those meetings. Please, in fact, please come to the meetings and participate. Somebody start making all these copies and everything that I'm doing here, right? Somebody start taking notes. Come participate. So you can even have an official role as an advisor, okay? Like Deb, for instance, okay? She worked for the Portland Water Board or for the department.
The city of Portland Water Bureau.
She might be kind of useful to have around water stuff, right? And maybe Max Hildebrand could help us with sewer, you know? And George could be the liaison from the fire department. This means if you don't feel like you want to take the huge time commitment of having to attend every single meeting and learn all about land use law, but you'd like to participate, that's absolutely going to be available to you. Yes.
How often are meetings?
Monthly.
Monthly, how often do they go to the committee? Like, what does it look like, the CAC going to Benton County? Like, do they meet in person at formal?
At a commissioners meeting.
Are they basically sending email messages?
Oh,
Like, what's going on?
well, that's what needs to be, addressed in the new bylaws. And that
That's
means,
what we're
what it was my suggestion that the new committee create the new bylaws rather than in the reverse. Because we do have all these new ways of communicating and conducting business. And so that needs to be delineated in the bylaws, what the CAC will provide to the Benton County Board of Commissioners and what the Benton County Board of Commissioners and the different departments might provide for the CAC. So there's a subcommittee right there, right? Writing the bylaws.
That might be your first project.
Yeah.
You get stood up, but I do think that being stood up again and acknowledged is really the most essential first step. So that you don't feel like you're in limbo, like it feels to me right now.
Yeah, we have got, yeah, we've been in limbo, yeah.
Yes.
There's one more thing that Jenny, we were talking about in the bylaws, section 5 vacancies, a vacancy on the CAC executive board, which are the 5 appointed members, shall be filled by first alternative 1, Mr. Strong, I believe that's you, if available and willing to serve. If not, the vacancy shall be filled by alternate 2, if available and willing to serve. If no alternate is available, an election to fill the vacancy shall be conducted at an advertised public meeting of the CAC. A person filling a vacancy in the executive board shall complete the term of the original member. So my sense is that you guys have to decide when your terms expire. And what are the expiration date of the two members that aren't present? So that whoever runs for it, they'll know what position that they're stepping into.
I agree. You need 3 people, not a 4th, because Deb is stepping down for sure.
You need 3, there's 2 people that aren't on it, and Deb drops off, there'll be 3. And there's one more.
Board is 5 people.
Right, and then there's 2 alternates,
Yeah.
so there's 7, and we have 5 today.
Well, she's not.
There's 4.
Or,
And I suggest that you get stood up, work on the bylaws, and you'll just have a couple months of talking it out and finding the clarity that you need and making recommendations for changes.
no, 2 months.
I think they're gonna need at least 1 meeting, right, to work through all that. And then we'll make sure that, the commissioners are paying attention and they acknowledge the new bylaws, that we have it legally vetted, for you, and you'll be on your way.
And that's just the committee, which is different than the countywide comprehensive plan update. Those are 2 different things. These 2 projects are not intrinsically linked. Okay, it would have been great if we could have gotten our elections and gotten the committee standing up before it was time to do the plan, but we were not able to do that. We worked very hard to try to do that, and we weren't able to do it because there was resistance. So now here, the things happen to be happening at the same time, but they are not the same thing.
Well, can the CAC participate?
Absolutely. But the CAC taking this new role and creating a stronger relationship with the county is not mushed together with the comprehensive plan update.
Who is responsible for making the CAC, making the plan?
No,
No, they are, but reauthorize, getting the, okay, 2 things are happening.
But
The
they're
committee
doing,
is standing again, saying the
Yes.
committee will do it.
Yeah.
The committee is standing again and going to develop a stronger relationship with the county
Right.
that will continue, we hope, through the generations, so that our grandkids can have a better working relationship with the county. Okay? At this moment, there is a countywide comprehensive plan rewrite taking place. It's gonna start in May,
Yes.
theoretically.
Yes.
And so the 2 things are not, they are linked in that the committee will participate in the creation of what we give about the plan. But the committee standing up and the plan happening at the same time, that is just, it is, what is the word? It's happening at the same time rather than, it's not dependent one on the other.
But it's a motivating factor.
It is a highly motivated factor for me.
So then in your thing, the commissioners, you can say, we look forward to participating in the review of the comprehensive plan.
That would be on our 1-page thing
I
that we
love it.
give them for acknowledgement. Yes.
We can show up with all of our documents that we've made over the years, you know, in all of our books. Here, we have it right here. If you'd like to follow through on any of the things we've asked for. Yeah.
We're not gonna get everything we asked for.
You see together first.
We got a special zone for this area, NPA,
Right.
and it was 5 acres, a lot of record. And we still got the NPA, but they took out the lot of record and the building. NPA, you gotta really fight to get a house on NPA.
That's true.
And maybe these commissioners may be brave, but we gotta deal with more commissioners down the road.
Zan is not rerunning, so she's out at the end of this year. Yeah, I mean, it's timely to get things going and established, because the political environment will always be changing.
Could we get an application of something, or at least written down for the people here that want to be on the committee?
That's a great idea.
And just get that done, otherwise it's another hour and a half. So,
Does the county need people to complete an application? Is this part of the process that you
No.
need to have happen?
Right before you guys go to,
Before there's an election, you guys need to have somebody fill out an application in order for them to serve.
I recommend that you do so that you can find a balanced, set of stakeholders.
could you do that as soon as possible?
Yeah,
Do it tonight.
I have a draft, well, I have a draft of a form too at my office, but yeah, I mean, let's write down the folks' names.
So, yeah, I'll just, tell me, I'm where my pencil.
Or do you want to pass it around, or do you want to ask him?
Yeah, I think it would at least make them present to the committee a summary of their, what they're interested in, and what their experience is. You know, what did they do for their job, or what their,
Well, I also
think about themselves.
I think we need it from you too. Like, I need to know, like, what strengths you guys are bringing, so I can help us figure out what strengths are we missing. Does that make sense? I mean, I wanna know what, you know.
My strength is zoning, that's all I know about. I don't care about comp plans. We can't get a comp plan without it.
Sarah, just to clarify, I live on Yates Road, I'm not eligible, right? And then we have Yates Road is eligible.
I actually don't know the answer to that question. I know Yates is in Benton County.
Yeah.
It is not.
No, it's like, they're like.
Well, part of it's in Lincoln, part of it's in Benton.
Greenhouse.
But my zip code is Alsea, you know.
Well, it's in, Jody, find it, it's in the
I'm finding it, I read it.
It's just too bad, because that eliminates literally like 40 properties on Yates Road for consideration on the.
Well, let her read it.
Well, I have to find.
Are you guys okay with not having the light on? I don't have to hear.
I can send this around.
I have a piece of paper.
Nominate yourself.
So here's the answer to their question.
Yeah.
Under Article 3, a 5-member executive board, alternate 1 and 2 shall be elected to each CAC area. Following an election, each CAC executive board member and alternate shall be ratified by the Board of Commissioners and officially recognized as a board member. Any resident, property owner, or person operating or leasing a business in the CAC area may be elected as an executive board member or alternate.
What's the definition
Oh,
of
so the
CAC area?
I have a map.
Yeah, there's a map, we're from Benton County.
So it's in Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Because Naomi literally lives like a quarter of a mile from where I live.
It's a huge area. This is nuts.
Information about you.
Actually,
Yeah, that's our area.
Yeah. So not to worry.
Yes, but my understanding.
Oh,
You're fine.
The vote for, say here, hang on.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
The recording's not gonna be able to capture the conversations, if you just try to speak one word at a time.
If I'm understanding correctly, elected officials are the ones that are going to the commissioners and they're the ones doing the political activity. Anybody else can be actively involved, because you're not a member, because you're not in a district, doesn't mean you can't come and contribute. But these are the people who are going to go to commissioners and talk.
Correct.
So
So exactly.
it's not leaving anybody out.
Thank you.
It's just a different role.
Can you say everything else for me that I need to say to that?
Absolutely.
That would be better.
Well said.
So the question is, who wants to be a political person versus who wants to go?
Well, and who wants to come to every single meeting and read all the planning material, right? And, you know, really dig into this stuff. There are a bunch of people in this room who've done that. Right? There's a bunch of you who've done that in this room, but it's a huge time commitment. Mimi, I'm speaking for you here. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It was important for her to communicate to potential people that takes a bunch of time. It's a huge commitment. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
Jamie on the Zoom calls her hand up.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jamie. My gosh.
Notice that.
Wait, no,
Can you hear me?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Jamie.
Go ahead,
I didn't
Jamie.
realize Linda was gone.
That's
So-
okay.
My
Petra,
bad.
did Darren ever determine what those boundaries were? Because I know I posed that question for our residents as well. I live in a 97324 zip code, but technically Lane County.
Yeah, well, so technically you're outside, but that's also something you can change with your bylaws. Too, you can make an amendment to them and make it more versatile for you moving forward.
You own part of a business in Benton County, so you would be eligible.
Oh, she does, okay. Yes, did you hear that, Jamie?
I don't own anything.
Well, you're part of the farm.
I am part of a farm that is partially in Benton County.
There you go. Yeah, so
It's
there you
partially
go.
Benton County, you're there.
There you go. And you're a landowner in Benton County? So that
No,
also qualifies you. Yeah, so.
I'm not a landowner in Benton County.
You're not? None
No.
of that farm is in Benton?
I'm not an owner.
Well, we didn't know that, Jamie, but thanks for telling us.
I mean, there's a lot of people in the room that do know that.
So do you still need that answer? Do you want me to put that on the list, Jamie?
Well, I guess it sounds to me by Petra's response that that's something that needs to be determined by the bylaws.
Yeah, I think that could be.
Right on it. I'll write it down.
I have a comment to make on, the meetings, and how many meetings and everything. Once the comprehensive plan is redone, and we got things kind of ironed out, then you usually don't have a meeting except whenever somebody wants to do something and they need a special permission from the CAC to be able to do that. But that's gonna be way off in the future at this point, because we have that whole comprehensive plan to do. And then the zoning law is made from the comprehensive plan. So it, I don't have any crystal ball about that. So that anybody getting on the committee right now would be faced with a lot of meetings and a lot of things to do.
And I have this idea that the enhanced role, the larger role of the CAC might, at least from time to time, require things like where we're having this meeting every Monday night for a month, you know? I don't know that it's gonna be like that. I just have that thought. Because it won't be business as it was conducted before. There will be more things that the committee's doing in partnership with the county. So it might be a larger time commitment than it was before. Naomi, did you want to say something?
I just was going to say there'll be a larger commitment for the Benton County, for our CAC in developing relationships with cross-county CACs.
Yeah.
Very critical that they get really involved with Benton, with Lincoln County.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with the CACs of Benton County having a coalition and getting together a couple of times a year or something.
Yes, definitely.
So they're just, it might be a pretty large time commitment. And it might not be, just like she said, right? So I picture like real busy for a while and then not as busy for a while. I picture it like that.
So what kind of skills do we see needing on this committee, especially you guys who have been on it? Like what kind of skills, what kind of people do we need to add to your committee? What would help you?
Well, I have, this is coming from me, so, I have a desire to organize like a growers association, an agriculture. They wanted big agriculture to come in here. That's what it's wonderful. They wanted them to buy up all these little farms and we'll just have big farms. Well, that didn't work. And I envision, I would like to see us be good independent. And I think we need a way to preserve this food because we know it all comes in the summertime in lots, but then it's not preserved. So I would see, and I know that Freddie Hendricks, our original chairman of the CAC, he always had the idea that maybe we could use the freezer room up at the Forest Service and say this, I don't know, process the food and work like that. And then I noticed that there's people that like to make things as far as cooking, and then there's freeze drying. There's a lot of different ways. And if they can pick it up off the shelf and just have Alsea Valley products. And we have one fellow that lives out here that actually licenses, certifies or something, organic farms, and there seems to be, don't look at me because I'm not that way, but it just seems to be a lot of interest in people having organic farms instead of, regular farming methods. And it's regular farming methods that are using more sprays and more GMOs, and I can see a reason why people feel it.
The person they could really use would be a grant writer.
Well, if the county got a grant writer, it's full of grant, right, grants.
Good. To give them the ideas.
That's nice.
In the old days, we used to have a creamery in town, and everybody had a little dairy. I mean, that's outmoded now. I don't think the little dairy is gonna do you any good. They're all big dairy. But they had, and then they picked it up, the different farms, milk, and then they took it to the creamery and made it. So that was kind of historic for this area.
We used to try to tell the new councilors to get our milk. You didn't go to milk creamery.
Well,
Our
milk
gallon
creamery-
came back and paid, I think, 50 cents. That's another gallon of milk.
Well, the creamery was the old, assembly of God church up on the hill. So they got a creamery.
That's what it is this way.
Well, I'm gonna nominate some people that didn't sign up.
So how about other ideas? Do people have ideas about what representation they might like to see on the committee? I think it's important that, there be somebody who lives in the hamlet. Either
By him.
this, and this.
You mean like me?
Not actually.
Yes, like you, exactly. We have renters and landowners, property owners inside the Grove line.
I guess I get really kind of look.
So,
I didn't know.
I think it would be good to have at least one person who, can speak for that group of people, because they have a different set of needs than the rural landowners do.
Or somebody owns your rock there.
Sorry.
Well, I think that's good. I mean, like commercial, business.
Well, you need a business person, so that business, I'm so glad you guys are here. So business people, do you want like a business representative on the CAC? Do we need ones from different areas of business in our community? Deb, did you sign up?
Well, I think a lot of people here,
Yeah.
or that I see, have a lot of, small businesses too. I don't
Right. Well, I'm thinking about forestry, I'm thinking about the road, your 4-H. I mean, these are pretty vital employers that we still have in our community. We gotta make sure that they have a voice in what happens, so that we don't end up shooting somebody in the foot.
Okay, Jen, you have a list. I have put Brian's name on them.
I know you're not to be here one, I know his phone number.
Yeah.
Yes, Naomi.
I think you need somebody that knows how Benton County's departments all function and how they play the game.
Like your county liaison person.
I think you're talking about, I you're gonna get somebody in town.
Oh, yeah, you want it well-rounded.
But I think that's very ambitious. It seems like.
I don't know, there's a lot of names on that list.
It seems like for the here, it needs to be, like you said, people who are willing to delve into things, who have the energy for it. you have time for it, and,
They're not just.
there's other qualifications, like just are you owner or timber.
So
Jamie's waiting again.
can she speak?
Yeah, I think we can hear you, Jamie.
I think I just forgot to put my hand down before. I'm good.
So Mimi, did you still want people to give a little? Mimi had an idea that on the application form, if there's going to be an application form, now that seems to be up in the air. That people would write what they want to bring to the committee, what part of, what they'd like to represent.
Those people that are on that list should have signed in there and their email should be there. So maybe someone could match the two lists, and then when we get the form, email it to those people.
Just parentheses, would you like me to create an email list from the emails that you've all given me and these sign-up sheets and be sending you information in that way? I don't want to fill up your inbox. Okay, I will do that.
But we also could see, are there people that couldn't make it tonight that might want to be on the
Oh,
committee?
absolutely. I don't think that's the official nomination.
No, well, all I'm saying is that, how are we gonna go about doing that next? Is it?
Tell people.
All right.
Bulk mailer.
All right, so who's doing that, and Lynn?
Well, that will be, so correct me if I'm wrong. I think I heard Pedro say that the Board of Commissioners has requested that we come to them with the proposal before we announce the election. Correct?
Yeah, you can just have your proposal when you go and introduce yourself and have them acknowledge you, and just take care of both of those things at the same time. That's what I was talking about.
The election proposal in addition to the standing up proposal.
Yeah, we'll have draft election form, just so that they understand that you guys are motivated, and that also that their staff, me, is actually providing you with tangible help.
So sounds like we better decide how we want to do it, folks. They're getting.
Well, just add one page.
Yeah, just add to that.
I thought the point was get the acknowledgement. They don't need to approve our entire process. We don't need to take that in front of them. We just need to get their acknowledgement.
I believe
one pager. This is kind of generally what we hope to do.
I think we're supposed to say we'd like to hold elections to fill the.
Yeah, that's part of that one pager.
Just one paragraph of background, one paragraph of where you're at, and one paragraph of next steps.
We do that, and then we can, they don't need to weigh in on
You're
the
chomping
other
at the
stuff.
bit. So do you want to sit here and hammer out how you're gonna do the elections tonight?
We can't do the elections tonight.
Not doing them tonight, hammer out how you're going to do the elections. So can we stop chomping at the bit about the elections then? Have we covered it all? Yeah, well, yeah. All right, so, you want to move on to the comprehensive plan, maybe? It's really, it's
find my camera.
so Mimi and I have said, she said repeatedly, we don't know what the county needs from us, and we don't know when they need it.
Right.
You may not know the answer, you may not have the answer to that question, but I think the essence of the question is when your folks come out, that you're contracted with in May or June, theoretically, it's supposed to be. When we come to them and tell them what we need at that point in time, does it need to be comprehensive, or will we be able to add to that as the process goes along? Okay, perfect. So we can relax about having everything in order by the end of May.
Oh, yeah. There's gonna be
perfect.
multiple opportunities to weigh in.
Perfect. So community outreach is the next thing. I got to learn a good bit about how to communicate with the Alsea community when I did the community meetings in 22 and 23. And when I was at PIO at the school. And so I kind of got it down, the best way to try to reach everybody, but I'm seeing that I have holes. Like I just found out today that all the people on the north side of the highway are not gonna get the ABB or a mailer unless I put their address on it. So I need help here, folks.
That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true.
It isn't?
No, because, I mean, when we take the ABV or the school takes their newsletter,
Yeah.
there's a list that you.
At the post office?
Well, no, but we have it. I mean, so I mean, when I did it at the school, you take it to the post office, you give it to all the box holders.
Right.
In Alsea, that includes some 97370.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've probably been letting some people fall through the cracks.
Maybe.
Which might explain it, so people said, I didn't hear about that. Maybe they really did. Don't get any help with that. That was about.
And FYI, Joni, there's a new process with the post office. It's online now.
Oh.
I will be getting trained on that. I'll share.
Oh, Joe.
So
joy, indeed. Actually, it should be easier.
the county had previously talked about funding bulk mailings for us. So, but so this is just, you guys need to figure out what you want to do here. We want as much input into this comprehensive plan project as possible. It's on May 15th is the deadline for the next issue of the Valley Voice. So if you guys could figure out what you want to put in there, or if someone I or someone else could submit that to the Valley Voice. And that would be a very efficient way to reach everybody. And then I would do my things that I do where I post on Facebook and I put up the flyers on the bulletin boards, okay? But what do we want to have on that mailer to reach out to the community? Like George said, the importance is that we make every effort that we can to make sure that everybody gets informed about having the opportunity, whether they're going to take advantage of it or not. So I need to find out about folks who aren't in our zip code, and I need to find out about the landowners who don't live in Alsea. Right? But
Yeah.
Well, Petra said she can help us with that.
Yeah, it's just a layer of the zoning map. It's a massive database that has, you can do it by resident, by owner, by business. So just run and then merge those two and, audit them.
And
So
somebody
can you
gives
guys
them the dates that the areas that we know are outside the zip code so they can check their level, make sure those are on there, because that's the issue.
Yeah, sure.
Because for the post office, you have to do individually stamped and mailed letters to them. You
Are you
can't
guys
do
able
it
to
by
just-
bulk.
Right. Can you just do the mail?
Because it's like 40 extra here and 20 over there or something, so they can't add it to the bulk.
Okay.
Are you able to do it without using the bulk mailing label that we have? Is that what you're saying to me? You can use your own database?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I can't tell you how glad I am to hear that. Okay, so what do we want to put in the ABV for May 15th?
That you want people that are interested in running for the CAC to let the CAC know, or let somebody know. And to let them know by a certain date. And then there's plenty of people here that already, I don't know how many people signed up that are interested, but you have interested people right here that are coming to the meeting.
I'm actually talking about the meetings for the comprehensive countywide rewrite. So by the 15th, can we have any details about it?
Maybe, I'll ask them. So like I said, they just got contracted here the last couple of days. So we're having a kickoff meeting. And I'll ask them, I said, can you get something together for Alsea before the 15th?
Yeah.
Isn't there some sort of press release going on? Probably for all of them?
Yeah, there will be. It's just, they're just not, there are a few.
Well, that
They're
15th
just
is
on
the
board
hard
right now.
deadline if you want to get it in the ABV. So that's what happened with setting these up. They didn't have the dates set up. And I said, you're gonna have to come back and check because we didn't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna promise, but I'll certainly ask if they can try to prioritize that.
That would be so, it would remove so many layers of hassle on our end. I understand that you guys have to coordinate with all these different pieces and make it. But that would be wonderful. So are you okay with, since I'm doing this outreach portion, are you guys okay with the committee? We'll create this thing, we'll try to get it in the ABV. If we can't do that, we'll do the bulk mailing to reach out to everybody that we can in the community about the countywide plan project. Okay, very cool.
Now, will this confuse them? I mean, this is,
I don't know, I'm confused.
well, it's one of the jobs of the CAC, so it's not a separate, it's not a separate committee. It's,
No, it's, I'm talking about your committee. I'm saying I've been doing the postings for you. I've been doing your communications for you. So I'm talking now about how we're gonna do the communication with the community about the countywide comprehensive plan rewrite. And what are you asking
I
me?
think a general notice in the Valley Voice would be enough, because people just need to know that it's happening.
yeah,
I
I
agree.
just want people to get confused between the two things.
Okay, so
That's just
sure.
another job of the CAC.
Well, the CAC, okay, I don't understand what you're asking me.
We're not asking them done.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. And that's what you need to do then, is say what you want to have happen.
Well, I guess it should be, somehow it should be worded that that's one of the jobs of the CAC. If they get elected, to the CAC, they will be working on the comprehensive plan.
Oh, gotcha. Well, we have the mailing for the election that'll happen, so we're talking about two different mailings, right?
Yeah.
And the mailings will be created between the CAC and the county. Okay, so you can put in there what you want to put in there.
Okay. Then I'll go back to Petra and answer the next question. This is all getting very confused between what jobs are what. You clarify it?
Well, the CAC will certainly be working on a comp plan. Now, the folks that we've contracted with, they're national public outreach people. So they've got all the tools. We're paying them to do the messaging and to make sure that we have a big broad thing. So it might be a little premature to want to solicit information about the comp plan at this point. If we can pull that off and have them give us some feedback by the 15th, I think that'd be good. So yeah, I agree, it is a little confused because the CAC is going to be a stakeholder group that's going to be weighing in on the comprehensive planning process. But the whole county is, and everybody that's not on, any citizen can weigh in for the public outreach part.
Are we going to end up with what we had in 2008, an actual community plan?
Possibly.
Specified for Alsea?
Possibly.
Okay. So if that happens, yeah.
I don't see us having an individual community plan for the top one.
Not for the comprehensive. Well, these are part of the comprehensive plan.
Might be an appendix.
Yeah, these are part of the comprehensive plan at this time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would certainly be a future phase, because we need to do the policy work before you create a document needs to be reflective and consistent with what the overall policies that have been decided on. So there is kind of a logical process, and that would come a little bit later.
So an example of that would be, we want to have smaller farms. So that's in our comprehensive plan. Then we take that and put it here. Then when we work with zoning, we make the MPA zone more dividable and buildable. That's sort of one
That's a great
narrow
example.
focus, but that's kind of a way it works.
And it'd be recommendations, right? Because, and the county makes recommendations to the state, and the state actually is the ultimate decider on whether or not they think that that is an appropriate policy for the soil types, the socioeconomic, dynamics, and yeah, I mean, it gets pretty complex, but yeah, I mean, the more you have a cohesive set of recommendations, the more you will be listened to by the electeds.
Verbiage, background, something in our little tiny town comp plan that explains our situation. Why is that helpful when you go to the state? Or is they don't care?
No big deal, I'm on the board of Attorney Farm Bureau, and I've been reading articles on this. It's a real problem nationwide of the natural path of capitalism making big farms. And people on the back to land movement, the hippie era, and the traditional want to have what they had in the past, and it's rules that it's monetary and health and safety rules that divide things out, and the big outfits make these big rules that people can't afford to have for their dairies. But when I remember in the early 70s, they required dairies to, because they used to be canned out by the road, and they picked up and they go to the whatever, Sunnybrook or whatever, and that got eliminated because each dairy had to have at that time $175,000 to install their own sanitary equipment, so they put everybody out of business. So you get rules that don't require the safety like for a big commercial thing. It's like clinic compared to a hospital. You can get nastier diseases infections at a hospital than you do in a small clinic. So they're requiring basically that little clinic would have the same sanitary standards, even though the problems are different. It's not, you don't have the waste and the concentration of bacteria in a small outfit that you would in a big outfit. So those are the rules that have changed. The reason that people, big farms are taking over financial requirements. Like that. It's a global agenda.
Well,
I mean,
so
but I mean, so that you have to work there. It's not the zoning necessarily. It's the financial part of it. So that's a way to look at it and how to construct those.
Who's finance?
Rules. What?
Who's finance? Are you talking about?
No, big dairies.
Well, I'm talking just a subsistence farm. You have 5 acres, your house.
Right.
Place for a couple of goats and a garden.
Right, and that's why
They get
the
involved
state
in-
land use, the state laws changed from an income requirement, which is 35 years ago, to on farming, it's just an intent to make a profit in money. There's no financial, on exclusive farm use land, there's no requirement that you make a certain amount of money. That's in the 2014 and the 2022 farm use manual. So you're not under that financial pressure. If you have so one property was the town property and it got changed in the 90s, and I didn't pay much attention to it because it was part of the larger unit to forest conservation. And so we have the county tax appraiser doesn't know as much as she should, insisting that I have a certain amount of money income from that property, but she doesn't know the difference between farming it and farm parcel. So, anyway, those, if you have forest land used as a farm, you have to show a certain amount of income. If you have exclusive farm use, then you don't have to show them.
That's why I wanted to work with the MPA then.
Right, so that's, but the deal is those aren't a comprehensive plan necessarily, but the law regulating that kind of income. It's a different tax. And it's a problem with the farmers and the farm bureau too, because not everybody can or wants to be a 3,000 acre farm. And even those people aren't making that kind of money. But other people can make it, especially in the low cost for regenerative agriculture. You can do it on 5 acres. You can do, but you have to get to markets. Our problem is we've got to go to the mountain. And so, but other kind of income, but, so that's what you have to look at, the rules and the end product of where you're going to market those things. And it's not necessarily
what I want.
And then the other thing is, I think it's almost blasphemy, but anyway, if you're in rural residential or multi-purpose, and you have 5 acres, you can declare yourself a woodlot, a farm woodlot. And it's a farm use, And what Pat Jones says is a loophole.
The tax.
It's a loop, yeah, and you can have 1 or 2 trees, there's no minimum space. But you can't go and make it like a farm, and you can have these fun.
Well, those are all tax things.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking for building rights. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, the trouble is the state of Oregon, because I lived in Portland, in the late 60s and early 70s. If the tax comes into it, those farmers in Hillsborough and stuff, they had orchards, filbert orchards and stuff. And they can subdivide, and some people wanted a farm. And so let's say, for example, that farmland is $2,000 an acre. But if you sold it at that time for housing development, you need $10,000 for it, and you didn't have to have any permission. So some of these farmers were selling off their holders at $10,000 an acre, and the county says, well, there. Then all the farmland is worth $10,000 an acre, then he taxed the farmers out of business. And so no one came down with the land use laws because we didn't want to look like Sacramento.
We've been told
so
that the
here
county doesn't
is the same thing, so that's how the zoning. So we have, and that's part of the Oregon keeping our way of life. And then you have to do the sewer here, because I think that's the most important thing, because we can't have, or we did have turds going down for engineering around. That's why you have a sewer system, because they used to have a sewer system. So these other things have to consider, but if you make it.
We're running out of time for tonight, and we have some things we need to cover. I have some dates for you that I did not get on the agenda, okay? The monthly CAC meetings that are posted on the Community Development Department website that Linda made. Those are, you guys are ready to attend those at those times for May, June, and July.
That's the first I've heard of that.
Heard of it? Okay. Well, right now on the county website, it says we're gonna have CAC meetings May 6th at 6 o'clock, June 3rd at 6 o'clock, and July 1st.
Because they weren't last week.
At 6 p.m. Actually, I'm wrong. I'm saying the wrong thing. It's on the Zoom link for you to come to this.
That makes sense.
June 3rd, May 6th at 6 o'clock. June 3rd at 6 o'clock. July 1st at 6 o'clock. On May 5th, online, I can send you a link. May 6th, excuse me, May 6th. The budget meetings for the county. You can attend them on a Zoom link, or you can go in person. Is that right, Jenny? Can you go just virtual? At 3 and 4 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, it'll be the Alsea budget. At 4 o'clock, it'll be Alsea Human Services. There's a link on the website. I also can send you that link if you would like me to.
Yes.
I don't think it was 3 o'clock for Alsea, wasn't it earlier than that?
I thought that's what it was.
Human Services is at 4.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some threes.
Okay. She's gonna verify the
I
times.
think it was at 3 and 4.
Oh,
And they're only
then a
15
meeting in
minutes.
between them, yeah.
They're like 15 minutes, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have to come right at that time if
Because
you want to
they start and
participate,
they
but there
finish.
is public input if you'd like to make public input. And the budget will be available, they say on the website, on the 26th of this month.
I don't know if it'll be on the website.
That's what it said on the page today.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it, I sent it to you. I found it the place, we were looking for it and we couldn't find it.
Wow, that's 10 days and ahead. That's
Wow,
pretty
right?
good. Pretty good.
Likely story, huh?
Sometimes we get it the same day.
So, yeah, on May 7th, there's a planning commission meeting, a regular planning commission meeting. On May 30th, there's a planning commission meeting in Monroe. I don't have more details on that, but my understanding is that it's linked to the rewriting of the countywide plan.
Yes.
Okay, so that might be a place where we could learn, you know, a little bit about what it's gonna be like. If people want to attend that.
May 7th?
That is May 30th.
Oh, May 30th.
I thought it was April.
Oh,
No.
Can you post this on the Alsea page?
I'll be glad to. I'm also giving it to you in case you want to have it, because no matter how many places I post things, people say they can't find it. So I'm just telling you right now. So I'm gonna confirm that date, but actually I need to do this thing first. So maybe one of you bring materials if you want them. You don't have to want the materials, okay? We got a letter from Gary Stockhoff about the sewer. If you don't have one, I have copies here. I have copies here of something that the state published about development of housing in rural areas. It's just a very policy brief, but it's something to start building on and looking at the land use issues. I have the list that we've shared with the county about our most urgent needs. I have a more detailed list of what came up in the community meetings that we had in 22 and 23. I have the ABB article that has more needs that the community expressed to our elected officials on March 12th. I have this, is it 2005 downtown development plan? You want to take a look at that? We're going to get this digitized so that it can be looked at by more people than just the 3 copies that we know of are in existence. There are probably more in people's houses. And then Linda made some copies of the Alsea community plan. That's the current part of the current comprehensive plan for Benton County from 2008. I looked this over during 22 and 23 when I was doing those meetings. Honestly, we could photocopy this and turn it in. It'd be a good enough plan.
They say it's not adopted in the master plan.
Well, I think that's, I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know that Patriot does. My understanding is that these were to serve as a guidance document for developing the unincorporated areas of Benton County. My understanding is that no action was ever taken.
Right.
Yeah, but my point is, since you can no longer easily access this on the website, I have some copies. Yeah, you can find it, but it's not easy like it used to be really easy to find it. Now you have to search specifically for this plan. You no longer can go look on the page and it's in a list. You have to search for it directly. So if you would like to, I have some copies that you could take home instead. Included in it is a map that shows the actual hamlet. The reason I'm calling it a hamlet is because that is the legal definition of what we have here is a hamlet. Would you rather I say town? Because when I say Alsea, I think of all us people out here as Alsea. So I feel like we're like the, you know, there's a project. I mean, the rabbit. Yeah.
Is there any other comments?
I'm sorry, is that an agenda?
We adjourned.
But I second that.
Great. Yeah, remember that, so then you won't have to. Where do you want to? I quit. Yeah.